Hi, Anti-Society. Welcome back to the Antisocial Planet, and today we are checking out Tower of God Season 2, Episode 8, and I am bracing for impact, y'all, because I feel like we are getting into all the stuff with Khun and his team and the Rachel of it all. Am I emotionally ready to relive that? No. But we're getting closer and closer to the halfway point of the season, and I'm assuming that's gonna be, like, basically setting up the fact that we are getting into workshop battle stuff, and that makes me believe that we're gonna be closing up a few ends, setting up a few things before we get into that. So I'm assuming we are going back in the direction of Khun and his team, which I'm not ready for. My poor Dan, he's just trying so hard. In 3, 2, 1, go. Right. The Emily of it all, which is also like, there's so much going on with that. It gives me like a little bit of anxiety too, because I did work with chatbots back when I was in school. Ow! Sorry, I just get excited. Seeing season 1 characters. This feels so much more pointed in like the modern day of like AI and all of that, that I'm just like, oof. Oof. Ahead of its time. Our girl. I mean, at least for me, best girl. Okay. I love Endorsey so much. And I like that she's sus. Cool swipe screen though for that edit. Ah, yes. This is like, I remember reading this in the webtoon and I was like, I feel like we are putting too much trust in a program immediately. And I was right. I was like, why, where's the information coming from and how can we trust it? Just like the bored sound. Ooh. Dang. No, that music cue is cool, and also having the glitching out on the voiceover, like having this very chipper, very kind of stereotypical kind of like robot AI chatbot voice for Emily, and then having that glitch out is like adding to this, you know, the whole like kind of horror element of what Emily is and how it functions, right? I think that one of my favorite things analyzing, you know, the adaptation of this is like the sound design of it. And I know that lots of people look, I'm starting to see the budget fall out of the animation a little bit. Like that scene where we had Run and Dan, you know, running. It looked a little bit stilted, you know, which again, we're in the middle of the season 2. They're gonna be kind of saving some of that, I'm assuming, for all the stuff that goes on in like the workshop battles. But if there's one thing that I've enjoyed about this season, I enjoyed about first season too, was the sound design. So shout out to the people who were working on that, because they seem to be doing a really good job in choice of like music, like this jarring feeling to a lot of it. And the choice of like the voice acting too is super fun. So many of the voice actors are having a lot of fun with it. I mean, the rules are more of a suggestion. I just remembered some of the people we're gonna get introduced to in this. Kids and their phones. I say like I didn't get like my first phone at like 12. And that was after like begging to have one. And then my uncle just was like, uh-huh. Good Sixth Sense. There it is. And some others that I'm like, oh, you unfortunately are not an ongoing concern. That was a cool shot, like the really like sharp cut between those two scenes. It's almost like they wanted you all in the same place. I love getting to see Team Sweet and Sour. I'd say run, but like, again, it's the group that are no longer an ongoing concern. It's like, it's fine. We got our own powerhouse. Oh my god. Forgot about the mole people. How could I? Look, he's not very good at like controlling his temper anyway, but like he's not that bad though. Ah! I love that there's apparently a group of mole people. I'm a little upset that this is not something that continues to be important. At least where I'm at in the webtoon. I love the characters that are just super suspicious of Emily as a concept are like all the characters that are like, those are my favorites. I was also suspicious, but I'm suspicious of everything. Oh, yes. I remember you also. See, where's that character's supervillain arc? I mean, Dan's job is to run. It's fine. Tanakun's got this. Just put out all the time. Ooh, see, cool music cue on that. He does like to one-shot people. I look how bored Ren looks right now. You're just so unimpressed. Yeah, that's what Dan does. He's gone. Yes. I like the confidence in our team, though. I think he's terrible at everything else. But this is what he does. Nice. Ooh, another cool cut between the scenes. Yeah, see? I was already like, I'm suspicious. And if Khun's also like, I'm suspicious, I'ma trust him. Maybe we don't just give information over to forces we don't fully know the origins of, right? Ooh, that look. See, I already said, I was like, I feel like Emily's an unreliable narrator. You know, like, I don't know if we should just trust the information, and that turns out to be a thing later on. I forgive you, though, because I know it's about to go down. See, look at him taking responsibility. And you lived. Just like the voice. I'm like, ugh. I know who that is. Including you. I don't like that we're agreeing on something. Sorry. Sorry. Gotta eye roll. Manipulative. Never trust someone who can't see their eyes. Anime and Comics 101. See, that shift in the music is wonderful. Like the intensity of that last scene, and then just the most, like, almost like Looney Tunes sound and soundtrack. He just wants a friend, but also maybe be worried because he does have a habit of barbecuing his friends. I like his pigtails. Nope. I like the determination though. He's gotta take that personal. He's unpredictable, but we do love him. Improvise. This whole thing is ridiculous. This slight echo. I love how dramatic this is, though. Spotlights. Ah! Yeah. The murderous impulse was always kind of there. Y'all were having a moment though. Straight out of a drama. It's cool. We got a hero. That was some cool animation. Then it got a little janky again. Shh. Unimpressive. We got a protagonist on our team. Get on his level. The voice actor for Quattro is having so much fun. As they should. He's unhinged. Like this just goes into the whole like everything devolves and people being like, I want to fight Violet just to see what happens. Number of times that happens in like so many tests. And he's just always like, nah. The bye bye. Love him. It's true. Focus on the task. Like Violet did, right? He was like, nah, I don't want to fight. It's not part of the test. It's not why we're here. But it's food. Her and her snacks. She's such a cutie pie. Fine. Softy. And a rivalry was born. Foreshadowing. They're like, I think he's gonna come back again. I'm like, yup. Oh boy. Things are only about to get more chaotic. Remember when they could take breaks if they needed to? Look, I'm deep in Hell Train territory. And I'm just like, if only we could take a break before being thrown into the next thing. Oh, oh sweet teddy bear. Mm-hmm. I love that a bunch of their scenes talking are in this like shadow, right? Like it's in this really dark room. And it's so in line with like their back and forth, right? Because it's like everything that they're talking about is in this like shadow and darkness and like obscurity between them. Yeah. Because we're gonna be getting into a bunch of that. Oh boy. There's so much. Ooh, the glitch on the like camera. Ooh, I like that bring in some scary elements. Oh, jeez. It's more terrifying with noise. I feel like this episode fixed some of the issues that I had on the last few because I was like, there's a lot of information being thrown at us. Not as much stuff is progressing super quickly. And obviously this episode had some like action scene stuff in it. We were doing like actual tests and all of that. Introduced to some new characters, some of the like the abilities of people that we've been introduced to. But I think it also balanced some of that out with the humor. I really enjoyed that we got to have some of that humor come in because one of my favorite things about going through the webtoon is that there'll be these moments of like little bits of humor put into it, whether or not that's like certain lines or it'll be like certain things in like the background of panels. I like that there's just like little hints of humor throughout it because there is like a lot of intense, heavy stuff that goes on throughout the story. And there's definitely some of that coming into this. Like, I love that there is this almost like horror elements associated with Emily, right? Because that's like our first little glimpse into what the workshop is, right? And like the workshop battles and like what kinds of people are involved with that particular part of the tower, and the fact that it has all of this scary and ambiguous and the glitching of kind of the system, I think is a really cool way of bringing in some of the visual storytelling that comes with an anime as opposed to a webtoon, right? Having that glitch on the screen is a lot easier to pull off in an animation than in a webtoon, and having the voice glitch out and some of the like sharp cuts between certain parts, like that doesn't translate quite as well to a webtoon because you're scrolling. So how well you can kind of have that jarring shift between scenes is a little bit harder to control when someone is scrolling through your story as opposed to in an animation where you can do some of that or have the sound design come through. So I think that there are still like a lot of fun things that I really like about this series. I can understand that some people are upset about some of the animation. I might have some other thoughts on that as we get into some of the more like iconic combat heavy stuff as we get into the workshop battles and all of that. I might change the way that I feel a little bit on the animation, but it doesn't bother me as much as I thought it would. I do miss the character of the first season, just like stylistically. I thought that it just had a really cool aesthetic to it. It very much felt like later on fun character designs of the webtoon that they pulled forward into the animation of season 1, which I thought was really cool, because one of my favorite things about going through the webtoon is the art, and it just continues to impress me with little improvements and details being added into the style. I think that it just adds so much to the aesthetic and character of the series that it does feel like a loss to not have that as much here, but it doesn't bother me in terms of just the quality of the animation so much. But maybe that's just also because I grew up on like lots of anime where the budget fell out of the bottom of it partway through the series, and I got really used to like still frames of a camera panning across it for people to be like an epic scene, and I'm like, is it? This doesn't bother me quite as much. But I feel like it's worth talking about some of the other parts of the series that I am liking, from like the sound design and voice acting and some of the editing decisions in the story. And it's just fun to get to go back through the series but see some of the things that they're changing because it is an animation as opposed to a webtoon, and how kind of storytelling shifts between those two things. But we're definitely getting into some intense stuff. I'm sure that there's going to be, I'm pretty sure how we're going to end off the middle of this season with all of the stuff that happens now that we're bringing all of the people together a little bit as we get into Khun investigating more about Bam being alive and bringing those kind of two halves together before getting into workshop battle stuff. And of course, all of the stuff with like Foog members and all of that coming back into play. There's going to be a lot, I feel like, in the next few episodes. So I hope you enjoyed watching that along with me. You can click this playlist to get my previous reactions, or you can subscribe to me the next time I post a Tower of God reaction. I will see you in the next video. Bye.